This could be the liveliest and most crowded place in Istanbul, and you'll either love it or you'll hate it. Welcome to Taksim! So this is part 2 in our series on Istanbul, and in this episode we're looking at the region of Taksim and Beyoğlu. Beyoğlu historically was known as Pera and also Galata in the past. It's the part of Istanbul which is north of the Golden Horn. It covers the neighbourhoods of Karaköy, Galata, Cihangir, Şişhane, Tophane and many others. This area was originally controlled by Venetians and Genoese, and it was the commercial centre for trade and also banking. After the Ottoman siege in 1453, the Ottomans let the Genoese and the Venetians remain there to continue trading, and that's why there are several churches here. By the late 19th century it had become the fashionable area and still is today. The first electricity, telephone lines and trams of Istanbul were all installed in this area, and the cultural ties with Europe gave this area a modern status like London and Paris. And the Pera Palace Hotel, which we mentioned in the first episode, is of course in this area. Even the Sultan of the late 19th century moved from Topkapı Palace to his new palace near Pera because of the links with Europe, and it had the first electricity of the city. Many of the old surviving buildings of this area are of the neoclassical or Baroque design, which of course is similar to what you would find in Paris, London and Rome. At the centre of Beyoğlu is Taksim Square, regarded by most people as the centre of Istanbul. Taksim is an Arabic word actually that means distribution, because originally this area, because it's high up, was the water distribution point for the whole city. Behind me is the Republic Monument of Taksim Square, which was put there in 1928. This is a really detailed monument to commemorate the founding of the Republic of Turkey by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk on October the 29th, 1923. At the back of me is the Taksim Mosque, which is a fairly new mosque. This very modern looking mosque, which was completed in 2021, was highly controversial, and before it was built sparked a few demonstrations. Compared to the Blue Mosque in Sultanahmet, it's relatively small and only holds 3,000 people for prayer. And there's also a fantastic old church here. This is Hagia Triada, with unusual twin bell towers. It's still used on a daily basis by Greeks who still live here in Istanbul. And it's probably the quietest place that we can find in Taksim. But most people know Taksim for its nightlife, and there are hundreds of bars and restaurants down the streets here. And the most popular street here is Istiklal Street, or Istiklal Caddesi.
Very busy.
It's just an amazing shopping street, isn't it? It's not just shops and restaurants down Istiklal Street. There's a lot of other interesting things to see.
This is the Çiçek Passage, and it's absolutely wonderful atmosphere in there. It's so busy, a great place to come and eat. We've actually passed it 2 or 3 times and not even noticed it before.
The Flower Passage, which was originally called Cité de Pera and built in 1876 on the site of the Nam Theatre which burnt down, housed the first wine house. but eventually was mostly occupied by flower sellers, hence its name.
It's a fantastic atmosphere. I like it.
It's very noisy, isn't it?
It's noisy, but there's no music playing, so all you can hear is the conversation of people. It's lovely.
Yeah, but what a fantastic building. Fiyatlar yok mu? Levrek?
400 lira.
400 lira.
Yes.
10 pound.
Evet.
10 pound.
Bana bizim gibi eski bir şey.
Tamam, görüşürüz ya.
You must come to this place. It's got the most amazing displays of baklava and sweets. Let's have one of those. I'm giving little samples to taste.
Oh, look at that. I think that's some of the best baklava and cakes I've ever seen.
And it's open from 8 in the morning till 1:30 in the morning. It's called the Hacker Zarding. Beautiful.
So this street also has several Locanter and fast food outlets. An indoor shopping mall with Marks and Spencers. I can't believe Trudie didn't buy anything. And a Madame Tussauds. A Legoland and an aquarium. But we thought the entry fee was a bit much. For a family, 2 adults and 2 children, it would cost £80. For bars, pubs and restaurants, you need to go to the back streets. And down the back streets, near to Istiklal Street, is one of the best places to sit late afternoon and just enjoy a nice cold beer. And this is Kurabiye Sokak, or Biscuit Street. Evet, bir tane daha alabilir miyim? Most pubs here have an happy hour from 6 till about 8, serving beers for about £2.50 and a glass of wine for about £4.50. But then prices go up. This street's got one of the best atmospheres I've seen in Istanbul. It's lovely. We were amazed at the amount of people filling up these restaurants and pubs during the week, and even worse at the weekend.
It's Friday night and we found it really difficult to get a seat anywhere in the pubs around Taksim.
Another significant bar street is Sofyalı Sokak, which is not far from the entrance to the historical tunnel. Bir şey sorabilir miyim?
Buyurun.
Bu sokak ne?
Sofyalı Sokak.
Ne?
Sofyalı Sokak.
And there's plenty of other places that we just haven't mentioned here. I've got to say, in this area of Beyoğlu and Taksim, there are some beautiful restaurants, obviously at a price, but we generally eat in the cheaper Locanters, and the food is fantastic, and the prices are fantastic as well. And this is one of the cheapest and best that we found. This is Damek Tadı, which is in Küçük Bayram Sokağı in Beyoğlu, only 50 metres from Istiklal Street. Sizin fiyatlar uygun ya.
Evet.
Bir tabak ne kadar veriyorsunuz?
40 lira var, 40 TL,
He.
60 TL,
Ya
Çorbalar 25 lira.
mesela köfteli patates
Hepsi yemekler 60 lira.
60 lira değil mi?
60 TL.
Wow.
Evet.
Süper
Çorba
ya.
25 lira.
Super ya. Super. This 1 mile long street is also served by the old tramway, and it goes between Taksim Square, Shishani and the old funicular tunnel. This nostalgic tram is one of the most photographed things in Taksim. The first trams here started in 1871 and they were horse-drawn. Slowly the whole network of trams was electrified, and by the 1950s there were 270 trams in the city on 56 lines. But by the middle of the 1960s they were all replaced by diesel-powered buses and private vehicles. But this was a huge mistake, and because of congestion and pollution, this nostalgic tram was reintroduced in 1990, and the new underground metro system and modern tram system started to replace the buses. Sometimes you'll see a modern copy of the old tram going down Istiklal Street, but not many people photograph it because it's not as popular as the old nostalgic one. The main square here is also the metro hub, and from here you can get to places like Levant and Yenikapı. And of course, if you get on the F1, it takes you down to Kabataş, where you can get on the vapor, that's the ferry boats, going across to the Asian side, or even to the islands. But it's also very close to a fantastic palace. This is Dolmabahce Palace. This stunning palace in Beşiktaş, with its equally lovely gardens, took 13 years to build and was completed in 1856 at a cost of 5 million gold lira. That's 35 tons of gold, about 1.5 billion pounds in today's money, which put the Ottoman Empire into considerable debt and added to the empire's collapse. The palace was home to 6 sultans from 1856 until it was deemed property of the Turkish Republic in 1924, after the last sultan, Abdülmecid Efendi, was expelled from Turkey and ended up living in France until his death in 1944. The name Dolmabahce comes from its meaning filled up garden, as the land was reclaimed from the sea and backfilled. And the beautiful gates of the promenade are very popular for photographs, and sometimes there's even a queue. The inner decor is some of the most elaborate of any palace of the time, with gold leaf and beautifully painted ceilings, exquisite furniture and fantastic chandeliers. There are 285 rooms in the palace, 6 hammam-style bathrooms and 68 modern toilets, which came in from the UK. So did the first gas lamps and eventually the first electricity and central heating system, with its gold radiators. Around the side of the palace is an art gallery, and it's one of the best galleries I've seen in Turkey. There are lots of art galleries all over Istanbul, but this one has to be the finest. Many of the paintings here show historical events and give you an insight into life in the Ottoman period. It includes many portraits of famous people, including Ataturk, who often lived here and died here on the 10th of November 1938, at 9:05 a.m. The clock in that room still shows that time. And the clock in the lovely clock tower, which was added later, was made by the house of Jean-Paul Garnier. This is one place where you can use your museum card if you've got one. If you're just coming as a tourist, it's 1,050 lira to get in. And if you're just a Turkish citizen without a museum card, it's 150 lira. So your museum card only gets you into the garden area and one section. If you want to go into the main building, then you still have to buy a ticket, which is a bit crazy. And you're not allowed to use cameras in the main building either. Another famous monument which is not far from here is Galata Kulesi, or Galata Tower. This 62 metre, that's 205 foot high building was built as a watchtower and was originally called the Tower of Christ, and it was at the highest point of the area of Galata in 1348, nearly 680 years ago. For many years it was the tallest building in Istanbul, and at one point was also a prison. It's become the icon of Istanbul and probably the most photographed building here. There is a popular story that's well known in Turkey that in 1638 an Ottoman scientist called Hezafen Ahmet Çelebi flew from the Galata Tower with eagle-styled wings across the Bosphorus to Üsküdar, that's about 3.5 kilometers, which would have been the first human flight in history. This is very unlikely, as even with a modern paraglider with great thermals you'd probably only get to the Bosphorus. But it's a great story, and they even made a film about it in 1996 called İstanbul Kanatlarımın Altında, Istanbul Beneath My Wings, and many airports around Turkey have his name associated with them. So I was here at the beginning of May, and the Galata Tower was actually closed for restoration work, and it has been for a while, but they've now reopened it. The prices have gone up, but if you've got a museum card and Turkish residency or Turkish citizenship, you can get in for free. But as you can see, there's quite a long queue. It's open at 8:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, so it might pay you to come early in the morning. As you can see, this is a really busy street, but at night time it's also very lovely because there's lots of nice restaurants and bars down here. Just down one of the back streets at the Galata Tower, if you go straight down the hill, you come to an interesting set of stairs. In fact, there's quite a few interesting staircases around Istanbul, especially in this area. These are called the Kamondo stairs. These stairs were built in the 1870s by Abraham Kamondo, who had a huge influence here in the Ottoman times with the financial and banking sector, and a few of the Kamondo family buildings still survive here. In fact, there are some beautiful old buildings around here. It looks like the centre of London. And close to the bottom of the stairs is this wonderful old building. This lovingly designed old building, the Salt Galata, was once the Ottoman Bank in the mid-19th century. Now owned by the Guarantee Bank, it's an exhibition centre, library, research space, and it's got a cafe and free Wi-Fi. I wanted to show Trudie the historical Pera Palace Hotel that I talked about in our last film. This nostalgic hotel having the first lift and electricity in the city. We wanted to eat here, but the main restaurant was set for a wedding, so we ate outside on the terrace. After a couple of nice steaks, we indulged in sweets. Trudie had a lotus cheesecake and I had a tiramisu. Well, pretty good.
Yeah.
Go on then, let's try it. Let's try it.
Marks out of 10.
I'll give it an 8. All in all, with drinks, the whole meal came to £70, which we didn't think was too bad for such a lovely place. To get about in Istanbul, you will need one of these. This is the Istanbul card. And I did show it in the last episode, but in this episode, I thought I'd show you how to get the card in a bit more detail.
Okay, right, I'm getting an Istanbul card. There's a language option there. Let's have English. So I need to buy the card first. Istanbul card by 70 lira. I'm going to pay with cash. Oh, God. And now I've got 20 seconds to get, I'm going to put 100 lira in, see what happens. Oh, go on then, take it. Why isn't it taking
If it doesn't take the money, try putting it in the other way.
Okay. I'm running out of time. Oh, 10 seconds remaining.
Okay.
Card fee 70, amount to be loaded 30. Do you confirm transaction? Yes, okay. Okay.
That's it, get your card now.
On the card.
The card's come out. Right,
Card.
so you got your card. Now, if you wanted to top it up, you press the other button, obviously, to top
Please
it up.
confirm to take receipt.
And you're going to put 100 lira on, say, if you've got 100 lira.
There's my receipt. Okay, done that. Return to home. It says return from... Okay. Right, now I'm just waiting. Card. So I'm just going to go to the English again. And hopefully Istanbul card top up. So now it's telling me to put the card on the thing. So it says a balance. Please insert money or press credit card. So I'm just going to insert my money now, which is taking it.
That's it.
And do not remove your card, it says. It's giving me a big tick. So I've now got 130 lira on the card.
Brilliant.
Confess, okay. So it actually is really self-explanatory.
Yeah.
You just need English and you just need the man in the background to stop shouting at you.
So we took a tram from Kabataş to Tophane, which is near the coast, close to Karaköy, to see a fairly new complex called Galata Port. Walking from Tophane metro station, you pass a few historical sites, like Tophane High Amira Culture and Art Centre, that's a mouthful, which used to be a foundry for making cannons, the Nusretiye Mosque, the Tophane Fountain, which was built in 1732, and the Nusretiye Clock Tower, which was built in 1848. On the other side of the road, there's also the painted stairs. The Galata Port is the new cruise ship terminal, which incorporates Istanbul Modern Art Museum, which is now just called Istanbul Modern, and the Painting and Sculpture Museum, but also a very popular shopping mall with a promenade full of restaurants and bars, with occasional entertainment too. And the people are actually queuing up for these cafes and bars. So we're sitting at a little restaurant bar in Galata Port and looking at the prices, and a beer that's a Beaumonti, which is the 50cc, is 200 lira, which I don't mind paying that, that's about £5. But a glass of white wine is 560, which is about 13 quid for a glass of wine, which we think is a bit extreme. A juicy burger and chips was 450, which is just over £11, which was really good, but we decided to share one. So how's your burger?
As you can see, I'm enjoying this lovely salad.
And if you can afford the wine here, you can probably afford to buy one of these Porsches at the Porsche Centre in the square outside.
So, which one shall we take?
You're very funny. There are probably more hotels in this area of Taksim than in any other part of Istanbul. And we stayed at two different hotels while we were here. The first one we stayed at was the Berger Hotel, which is only a few hundred metres away from the square. The Berger Hotel cost us about £60 a night, and that included a really good breakfast. And for the size of it, it packs in a lot of facilities, including a pool after 3 p.m, a spa for massage, and a hot Turkish bath. And vessels in hot water. Lovely. And there's a small gym if you're feeling energetic. The rooms are fairly small, but for the price they're okay, with a fridge and a kettle. And there's a lift to all the floors. This hotel squashes a lot of things into a very small space. And a lot of the rooms are quite small, but for £140 a night, you can have this room.
Including a jacuzzi.
This room is really gorgeous. The only problem is they've only got one of them.
So, me and Trudie are currently walking across Taksim Square to our other hotel, which was only about 300 metres away.
And it's very hot.
And it's very hot. But that's because the taxis won't take us because it's such a short journey. A good idea is to ask the hotel that you're going to send a taxi for you.
Yes.
That might work. We do actually have Uber here in Istanbul, and because it works through the normal yellow cabs, the yellow cabs sometimes just decide, no, that's not a worthwhile journey, so they don't bother picking you up, and it'll come up on the app as no taxis are currently available. And yet if you look round, there's thousands of taxis everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah.
The Marble Hotel, which has a grand decor and similar facilities to the first hotel we stayed, was about £75 a night, with breakfast included. And there was quite a lot of choice for breakfast.
What a great little machine to get your honey out. Like a chocolate eclair.
That's a bit naughty, isn't it? You're only joking, aren't you? Alright. The Turkish bath and the swimming pool area were a great place to relax in. And the room was really nice too. To be honest, it was a bit noisy at night due to a nightclub nearby, but the view out the window certainly made up for that. So that's it from Taksim, and we're on our way to Kadıköy now.
So don't forget to like,
Subscribe,
and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. Thanks for watching.